Hello. My name is Amelia, and I'm 23 years old. You might wonder how a girl like me, at this age, ends up sharing a space with her cousin instead of having her own sanctuary. I never imagined this would be the path I'd find myself on. My heart is set on a path in architecture where I pour my soul into sketching designs, crafting presentations, and navigating the delicate dance of freelance projects. Since my parents' separation, life has been a tangled web of emotions, each day a bittersweet reminder of what once was. As a teenager, I drifted from place to place, yearning for a sense of belonging in a world that felt ever so tumultuous. Eventually, I found myself sharing a space with my cousin John in Glenwood, where the air was thick with unspoken feelings and lingering glances. The decision came out of nowhere. Everything shifted when my mother took a challenging job far away, leaving me searching for a place to stay while I pursued my degree. John, my cousin, was the only one in the family who offered me a refuge, a secret haven where our unspoken connection could linger in the shadows. John had shared his life with Lydia for many years, bound by vows yet haunted by unspoken desires. They resided in a quaint house on the fringes of town, a world away from the clamor of the city. I thought this move would be another simple transition, a serene pause in the whirlwind of my chaotic existence. Yet, the truth unfolded in ways that were far more intricate. And here we find ourselves in this moment. Months have slipped by since I arrived here, and I've begun to find my place in this world. I believed I had settled into the quiet, ordinary flow of life here. Yet today carries an air of something unspoken. I find myself compelled to share this, as an unexpected moment has unfolded. A moment that unfolded the instant I entered John's room, where he lay in a peaceful slumber. Before I reveal the intricacies, allow me to share more about John. John has always been someone I looked up to, a mentor who has guided me through life's hurdles. As we spent those stolen moments together, he showed me how to face life's hurdles, from fixing my bike to crafting my first model project, each lesson laced with an unspoken tension that made my heart race. On the day I turned 18, John unveiled a breathtaking sketching set, a gift I had secretly longed for throughout the year. So, when my mother needed to find a place for me during her work relocation, he was the only one who came to mind. He's the kind of relative who lingers in your thoughts, always just a heartbeat away, never merely a seasonal visitor. He has always been there in the moments that count. Though John's kindness and patience shine through, sharing a life with him inevitably intertwines with the presence of Lydia, casting a shadow of complexity over their connection. She and John had shared nearly 3 years of their lives together. At first, I felt a cautious distance from Lydia. She carried an air of sophistication that set her apart from John, her cool composure creating a barrier that left him yearning for a connection that felt just out of reach. I found myself in a guest room tucked away at the far end of the house, doing my utmost to remain in the shadows, honoring their need for space and solitude. Yet, the charged atmosphere between Lydia and me slowly began to soften. She started revealing secrets about cooking, managing a home, and little lifestyle hacks that felt like whispers in the night. Even though our bond wasn't as deep as the one I shared with John, the space between us gradually diminished, weaving a delicate harmony into our everyday lives. Until everything was turned upside down. My connection with Lydia always felt more distant than the one I shared with John. Yet, the tension that once hung between us began to dissipate, transforming our encounters into something more tender and intimate. Life in the house slowly settled into a familiar rhythm, yet beneath the surface, unspoken tensions lingered, hinting at something deeper and more complicated. In the last few months, over time, my connection with John deepened in unexpected ways, leaving me questioning my own emotions. His presence was a tether, pulling her closer even as the world around them whispered of impossibilities. He absorbed her words, his gaze steady and unwavering, a silent promise of acceptance that stirred something deep within her. Most evenings, we found ourselves drawn together after dinner, sharing whispered stories or simply relishing the silence, the soft music wrapping around us like a secret we dared not speak aloud. Recently, I've sensed a disquieting change in the way we connect, something unspoken yet palpable between us. What started as brief encounters of solace gradually transformed into a deeper connection, one that stirred emotions and blurred the lines of what was right. The echo of his laughter hung in the air, the fleeting touch of his hand as we both reached for the same glass, and the way his eyes met mine when he believed I was unaware. Everything felt charged with an unspoken intensity. It's a struggle to articulate, yet an undeniable presence that lingers in the shadows. There was an unspoken connection hanging in the air, a delicate tension that thrummed between us, hidden beneath the calm surface of our interactions. Emma, you might be questioning what it is you're trying to convey. He is your forbidden connection. I recognize how ridiculous it may seem. And yet, this feeling, this undeniable attraction, could not be ignored. I attempted to persuade myself that it was merely a figment of my mind, an innocent yearning for intimacy. Yet, whenever we found ourselves in solitude, the atmosphere thickened, as if an unseen power pulled us closer together. This leads me to where I stand now. The evening lingered in a hushed stillness, heavy with unspoken words and stolen glances. After dinner, I slipped away to my room, the air thick with unspoken tension, to pour my heart into a design draft that felt both exhilarating and wrong. John lay in bed, the room heavy with silence, while Lydia was miles away, lost in the allure of an overnight conference. I was lost in my work, completely enveloped in the task at hand, when a sound from the hallway shattered my concentration, drawing me back to a reality I wasn't quite ready to face. Gentle, purposeful steps. Initially, I brushed it off, but when the soft creak of his door broke the silence, I felt my heart stop. My heart fluttered with uncertainty. Should I reach out to him, or let him have his space? I couldn't resist the pull of my curiosity. I longed to reach out to him, to peel back the layers of unspoken words that hung heavily in the air between us. I gently pushed the door ajar, my heart racing as I tried to remain silent. There he lay, his arm casually thrown behind his head, a serene expression gracing his features as he surrendered to the depths of sleep. The moonlight slipped through the window, creating delicate shadows on his face, highlighting the sharp lines of his jaw with a haunting beauty. My breath caught in my throat, and my heart raced wildly within my chest. Heat flooded my cheeks as I stood frozen, consumed by feelings that left me both exhilarated and confused. My heart was a tangled mess, caught between desire and uncertainty. Was it just to witness him in this tranquil instant? Or was it something deeper, something that eluded my grasp? I found myself suspended in time, wrapped in my own swirling emotions, until a gentle nudge of a small figurine on the shelf pulled me back to reality. It crashed to the ground, and for a fleeting moment, uncertainty flickered across his features. Yet, hidden beneath that confusion, there lingered an unvoiced tension, a feeling I struggled to understand. He blinked several times, struggling to bring me into focus, then released a soft, sleepy laugh that sent a shiver down my spine. Emma, why are you here? This moment feels so charged, so unexpected. He inquired, his voice thick with lingering sleepiness. My heart raced wildly, each beat echoing the tension in the air as I searched for the right words to bridge the unspoken distance between us. I felt the weight of my words, hesitant to cross a line, yet the urge to reveal my truth was undeniable. My mouth was parched, and all coherent thoughts slipped away, leaving only the weight of unspoken desires. Text, I never intended to intrude on your peaceful slumber, I murmured, a rush of heat flooding my cheeks as I realized the intimacy of the moment. John slowly sat up, a mix of longing and hesitation flickering in his gaze as he rubbed his eyes gently. His gaze met mine, a soft smile playing on his lips, as if we shared a secret that lingered just beneath the surface. But this time, there was a spark in his eyes that sent my heart racing, igniting a thrill that felt both exhilarating and dangerous. He lingered for a heartbeat, his gaze piercing through the air between us, before finally breaking the silence with his words. It's all right. His voice held a tenderness that felt almost secretive. Emma, I'm here for you, no matter what. You can share anything with me anytime. I nodded, but within me, a storm raged, wild and untamed. The tempest of feelings raging within me was beyond my grasp. The atmosphere thickened, and I felt my heart race with an intensity one couldn't ignore. "Text, I just wanted to talk," I whispered, my voice trembling with vulnerability, yet filled with earnest longing. John's smile dimmed for a moment, a brief shadow of uncertainty crossing his gaze before it vanished just as swiftly. "Come here," he murmured, his voice a soothing whisper that sent shivers down her spine. "I'm here, ready to listen to whatever you need to share." I paused, my heart racing, caught in a moment of uncertainty about my next move. Yet, a deep yearning within me pushed me onward. Without a moment's hesitation, I found myself moving closer and taking a seat next to him. The air thickened around us, and the unspoken connection crackled with an intensity that felt almost dangerous. The heat from his body enveloped me, and I breathed in the intoxicating scent that seemed to cling to the space between us. We were so close that I could feel the warmth radiating from him, each steady breath echoing in the charged silence between us, his chest rising and falling in a rhythm that seemed to pull me in deeper. My heart raced wildly, as if desperate to break free from its confines. My gaze gradually met his, a mix of longing and hesitation swirling between us. Our faces were so close that I could sense the heat of his presence enveloping me. His gaze held a tender warmth, yet it was laced with an unspoken doubt. And in that gaze, there was an electric tension that ignited a shiver across my skin. His voice was gentle, a tender plea that seemed to hush the words on my lips. His lips parted just enough to draw me in, and I found myself leaning closer, unable to resist the pull between us. Heat rushed to my cheeks, and the rhythm of my heart thudded in my ears, a wild symphony of longing. What am I getting myself into? What is this connection we share? The feelings swirling within me were beyond description, igniting a fierce blaze that consumed my every thought, wild and untamed. John stood motionless, his gaze locked onto mine, reflecting the storm of emotions swirling within me. He remained quiet, yet I sensed his breath quickening, mirroring my own racing heart. The atmosphere thickened, a palpable tension igniting the space around us. The air was heavy with feelings left unsaid. My mind swirled with a tempest of emotions, each one pulling me closer to the edge, daring me to leap into the unknown. All paths converge to this singular heartbeat. A fleeting encounter that stirs the heart in ways unspoken. I could sense the grip on my heart slipping away. I felt an overwhelming sense of confusion, caught between gratitude and admiration, unsure of what these emotions truly meant. A part of me cried out for distance, for restraint, yet my body betrayed me, yearning for more. This was everything I craved. I longed for this, even as trepidation gripped my heart about the depths I was about to plunge into. I needed to take a step back, to reflect on what I was truly feeling before acting impulsively. He offered me a reassuring touch, a quiet presence that seemed to understand the emotions I couldn't voice. His other hand lingered on the edge of the bed, and as his fingertips brushed against my arm, a warmth ignited within me, spreading like wildfire. That touch ignited something deep within me, stirring every fiber of my being in a way that defied logic. The kiss deepened, erasing the boundaries that once defined us. In this space, reality faded away, leaving only the two of us, suspended in a moment that felt both exhilarating and wrong. It was only the two of us, ensnared in a tempest of feelings we dared not fully embrace. A whirlwind of emotions crashed within me, a tangle of confusion, guilt, and the slightest flicker of hope daring to emerge. What are we getting ourselves into? Why must it be this way? The emotions surged within me, a tempest that rendered reason powerless and left me breathless. He drew back just enough to hover above my lips, his forehead softly touching mine. Our breaths intertwined, each gasp a shared secret, heavy with unspoken longing. My heart raced wildly, a secret rhythm that felt too loud to keep hidden from him. "Emma," he murmured, his voice thick with unspoken feelings. "We know this is wrong, yet here we are." His voice quivered, revealing the inner turmoil he faced, a silent struggle against the pull of desire. My heart wavered, caught in a delicate balance of uncertainty. An undeniable pull within me whispered that boundaries were meant to be crossed. As I softly took his hand, our fingers wove together, a silent plea for comfort in the charged air between us. He lingered, holding on just a moment longer. Instead, he grasped my hand with a fierce intensity, as if the mere act of releasing it would shatter the fragile world we had created together. There was an undeniable tension in the air, but I wasn't sure if it was confusion, admiration, or something else entirely. The tension of our shared moment lingered, heavy and electric, as if the world around us had paused to witness our secret. A silent question hung in the air, heavy with unexpressed longing. Are we really going to go on like this? I let my fingers graze the nape of his neck, pulling him nearer, the air thick with unspoken tension. This time, I embraced the moment with an exhilarating thrill, casting aside any doubts that once held me back. All barriers had vanished, leaving only a raw, undeniable connection. I craved this intimacy, longed to be enveloped by his essence once more. His hand glided down my back, drawing me nearer until every inch of distance vanished between us. Only our quickened breaths filled the air, a silent connection binding us in that moment. I was lost in the uncertainty of what lay ahead, yet in that instant, nothing else held significance. It was a brief encounter I longed to cling to, where everything beyond us faded away, leaving just the two of us in our own secluded realm. The space around us felt constricted, the atmosphere charged with an indescribable mix of feelings. John's breath lingered near my ear, igniting a thrill that coursed through me. The air crackled between us, a mix of unspoken words and a proximity that felt both intoxicating and dangerous. For the first time in my life, I experienced a bond so deep, filled with both passion and turmoil. Do you really mean that? He whispered, his voice thick with longing yet laced with uncertainty. I can't bear the thought of causing you pain. I shut my eyes, attempting to tame the whirlwind of emotions swirling within me. Every part of me was in turmoil. My heart urged me to retreat, to put an end to this before it unraveled into something I couldn't contain. Yet my feelings remained unyielding. They ignited a passion within me, and I understood that I could no longer resist the pull of my heart. I'm certain, I breathed, my voice quivering yet earnest. My fingers brushed against his shoulder, a spark igniting as they traveled down to his chest, feeling the rhythm of his shallow breaths beneath my touch. My heart raced with a fervor that threatened to shatter the fragile silence between us. John's eyes locked onto mine, a silent plea hanging in the air, as if he were trying to decipher whether I was about to cross a line we both knew we shouldn't. His gaze held a depth of feeling that was almost overwhelming, a yearning for intimacy intertwined with an unspoken weight of obligation. As his lips brushed against mine once more, everything else faded into oblivion. Moments slipped away unnoticed. The silence enveloped us, a cocoon that kept the world at bay. In that fleeting instant, it was only the two of us, entwined in a memory that would linger in my heart, forbidden yet undeniable. Yet, just when the world felt suspended in time, a sound broke the silence from below. The front door swung open and shut with urgency, ushering in a cold breeze that whispered secrets from the outside. I stood still, every nerve ending alive with anticipation. John. Lydia's unexpected return shattered the moment, forcing me to confront the reality of the situation and my own feelings. I sprang to my feet, a wave of guilt crashing over me. I struggled to calm my breath, yet the frantic pounding in my chest refused to be tamed. John sat on the edge of the bed, his eyes lost in thought, grasping at the fleeting moments of tranquility that seemed to slip away. My gaze met his, but he averted his eyes, his hands shaking as they clutched the bed's edge. His silence spoke volumes, revealing the turmoil that mirrored my own fears. The sound of Lydia's footsteps echoed steadily up the stairs, a haunting reminder of the choices that lay ahead. The door creaked open slowly, and Lydia stepped inside, her heart racing beneath a facade of unsettling calmness. Her gaze lingered, a silent search for something or someone hidden in the shadows of the room. In that fleeting instant, she grasped the unspoken truth that lingered between them. Lydia's gaze was a tempest of unspoken sorrow, a wound that I felt powerless to mend. John. Emma. What's happening between us? Lydia spoke, her voice a gentle whisper, yet it carried the weight of unspoken desires, cutting through my thoughts like a sharp blade. The words lingered, trapped in the depths of my being. I longed to share my feelings, yet the words tangled in my mind, leaving me lost in uncertainty. I averted my eyes, my fists tightening in a mix of regret and longing. John stood frozen, his hand instinctively moving to the back of his neck, a gesture born from uncertainty in the face of something he couldn't quite grasp. Lydia gazed at him, her eyes filled with longing, seeking a response that remained just out of reach. "Is that you, Emma?" Lydia called my name, her voice laced with an unspoken longing. Her tone was laden with unspoken feelings, yet devoid of bitterness. That deepened the weight of my guilt, wrapping around my heart like a secret I couldn't share. I had prepared for a tempest of fury, yet what I encountered was a silence so profound it enveloped me like an endless void. "I realize now that nothing is as straightforward as I once believed," Lydia said, her eyes glistening with unspoken feelings. "Yet, there are truths that remain just out of reach for you." My gaze fell upon her, a mix of confusion and longing swirling within me. She held her silence, the weight of unspoken words hanging between them. Her gaze met ours, filled with a quiet intensity that spoke of unspoken longing and heartache. A haunting calm enveloped her, as if she had been waiting for this moment to unfold all her life. John stood there, a heavy silence enveloping him, his gaze haunted by an unspoken sorrow. The room was thick with an unspoken tension. But I understood that from this moment forward, everything would change forever. Lydia wasn't leaving us behind. She was offering us a fleeting moment of hope, a delicate and uncertain opportunity. Yet, it was a moment filled with possibility. My eyes met John's for a fleeting moment. His face was a tapestry of regret, uncertainty, and a feeling that lingered just beyond definition. He averted his eyes, his fingers trembling with uncertainty. I realized he was shouldering the weight of this complicated bond, one that neither of us had ever desired. Yet, as I pondered the moments we shared, it became clear that none of it had been intentional. Everything unfolded in ways we never anticipated. We both knew there was no escaping the truth, no way to pretend it was just a fleeting moment that could be forgotten. Lydia was undeniably correct. These feelings and this turmoil yearned to be faced and unraveled. "What comes next for us, John?" I whispered, my voice quivering with raw honesty. John's gaze met mine, a storm of unspoken desire swirling in his eyes. "I'm not sure, Emma." Confusion wraps around me like a heavy fog, leaving me lost in a whirlwind of emotions. Should I be consumed by rage? Embarrassed? Do I even deserve to feel this way? His voice trembled, heavy with the turmoil of feelings he dared not fully express. He was a man, torn between the deep connection we had forged and his unwavering loyalty to Lydia, who had always been his steadfast companion. I understood that a single conversation wouldn't be enough to untangle the complexities between us. The circumstances were tangled and fraught with unspoken tension. I inhaled sharply, my heart racing as I moved nearer to him. With each passing moment, the space that once separated us began to dissolve. My heart raced as I hesitated, longing to reach out and offer solace, yet a whisper of doubt held me back, questioning the boundaries that separated us. I found myself lost in a haze of uncertainty, where the lines between right and wrong blurred into a tangled mess of desire. "Text, I understand your feelings, but we can't fix everything in this moment," I replied, my voice soft yet resolute. "But we must confront the truth about this, no matter how difficult it may be. It's a tangled web we find ourselves in, impossible to escape." His expression turned solemn, yet remained warm. He nodded, his voice a gentle whisper, laced with an ache that lingered in the air between them. "I get it, but I'm lost on how to begin." I moved closer, my heart racing, yet my voice held a steady calmness. "We begin by confronting the past, by revealing the depths of our hidden emotions. Then, we'll navigate the path that lies ahead." John nodded once more, his eyes reflecting a tender warmth, as if he had uncovered a fragile spark amidst the turmoil. "It won't be simple, Emma, but I need to grasp the truth of what we share. As our fingers intertwined, the gentle connection sent a shiver through me, a fleeting solace in the midst of a storm of unspoken feelings. I'm not sure about everything, John. I can't predict the future, but I refuse to turn away from this any longer. We stood in silence for a moment, each of us tangled in our own thoughts, grappling with the intricate emotions that enveloped us. We found ourselves wandering through a labyrinth of feelings, tangled in the bittersweet threads of longing, remorse, and doubt, with no map to lead us through the shadows. Yet Lydia had offered us a glimmer of hope, not instant absolution, but the chance to confront the truth and unravel the chaos we had woven together. I stole another glance at John. In that fleeting glance, a world of unspoken feelings ignited between us. And, in that fleeting moment, I understood that no matter what lay ahead, we would confront it with raw truth, not the safety of denial. There was no flawless escape or simple answer, yet a glimmer of hope remained, an opportunity for healing, for deeper understanding, and perhaps even for something more profound. I sank into the chair, my heart racing with a whirlwind of emotions I dared not voice. Lydia's presence consumed my thoughts, her unsettling tranquility acting as a key to a hidden realm I had never dared to explore. She had chosen to stay, despite everything that pulled her away. She hadn't judged us. Instead, she had allowed us the freedom to confront the truth and unravel the complexities of our intertwined feelings. But what would unfold after that? If we laid bare our hearts, would the weight of our truth be too heavy to carry? Could Lydia ever find it in her heart to forgive us completely? The questions hung in the air, heavy with unspoken possibilities, but I understood they were meant for a time yet to come. In that moment, it was just John and me, enveloped in a silence that felt heavy with unspoken words and a tension that hinted at something deeper. We both understood that there was no way to return to the past we once shared. There was no turning back. The only choice was to embrace the unknown, no matter the consequences that awaited. And together, we would uncover the truths that lingered just out of reach.